He said, and I don't know the ins and outs of it. I really don't. We had an expert on last week who said that you won't be able to change your doctor going forward. No one really knows. Let's put it to you that way. He told me, and he's a very nice man, that the reason Hillary Care failed is because it eliminated private doctors. You had to go through a government plan. And he said that the Obama medical plan is different in that you are allowed to keep your doctor. Now, I don't know if that's true, because I heard one thing last week and I heard another thing from my distinguished doctor friend yesterday. I don't know what's true. That's part of the problem. If the plan is sound and it's good, they should wait 6 months until everyone had a chance to look through it, take out the obvious flaws, take out the spending insanities, and okay, go with it if that's what you want. Certainly don't give illegal aliens health care. What sense does that make? Who ever heard of giving health care to illegal aliens? I never heard of anything like this. Oh, sure, we're throwing that in too. Why? Because we need their votes? So I don't know what the truth is with regard to whether you can keep your doctor. Nobody knows. You know, nobody really knows. There's other stories we could talk about as well. San Diego, John, go ahead. You're up on the Savage Nation. I'm glad you're calling about the F-22. Go ahead, please.
Yes. What a pleasure and an honor to speak to you, Dr. Savage.
Thank you.
Senator McCain has finally, I believe, gone over the edge. With regard to, and I spoke to his office yesterday, he wants to cancel the funds for the F-22. Now, I talked to Senator Feinstein and Senator Boxer. They both oppose it. The president praised...
Wait, hold it. Feinstein and Boxer want the F-22 project kept going?
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute. I understand the F-22 is the most advanced jet fighter in the world. We have how many of them now?
187.
187. How many are online to be built?
Actually, I think the program was going for 240, but don't quote me on that.
But the Senate voted to cancel funding for the construction of any planes beyond the 240, right? Or to end it altogether?
Well, I think they ended funding past the 187 mark, and what Senator McCain wants to do is to transfer the funding from the F-22 to the F-35.
I understand. Now, here's what it comes down. Who builds the F-22? Is it McDonnell Douglas?
No, I don't. I think it's... at the
end of the day, John, it has little to do with national defense, and it has to do with which industry lobbyist paid Feinstein, Boxer, and McCain. What you have here are two competing aerospace entities buying congressmen and senators for their pet project. I don't know which one is better for America's defense. Do you?
No, actually, I don't.
That's right. I don't either. I looked at the story. I read it in detail, and I came away shaking my head. Why would we need an F-35 instead of an F-22, I asked myself. What's better for the long term? My only concern right now is that we use none of our weapon systems anyway. In other words, what's the good of building another aircraft carrier if they won't fire a shot? What do we need another 100 jets for if they won't use them? And that's the problem. It's not the jets. It's the leadership. So I have more of a problem with creating General Pattons than I do with creating F-22s. Because you could have the finest weapons in the world, and if you have public relations men running the military, then the weapons are useless. Then a guy with a roadside bomb is a more potent enemy than anybody with a tank. And they know it, too. It's terrible what's going on in Afghanistan, what's leaking out, the amount of men dying there on a regular basis. Now, why are our men dying all of a sudden? Well, it's true that we've ramped up fighting in Afghanistan. And it's true that the enemy is not so fast to leave his own homeland. He's not leaving. He likes growing poppies. He likes the billions of dollars that he makes in selling opium around the world. So don't think that drug cartels are not involved in fighting our soldiers. You know, no one's talking about that. This is probably the largest drug war in the history of the world, and our military is involved in it. You got the Mexican government fighting the drug cartels in Mexico, and you got the U.S. military fighting the drug cartels in where? Afghanistan. Remember war for oil? This is war for heroin, or what? What is it?
Savage. Michael Savage. Afternoons 3 to 7 on Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com.
Only Queen Elizabeth II can fix the mess that Jackie Smith and Gordon Brown have put me in. Fiscal ruin of the Western world beckons. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee backs a new equal rights amendment, citing Afghanistan and China as models as to how women should live. Michael Savage still banned in UK after all. Unseemly haste, thy name is Obama. Janet Napolitano pick raised funds for terror backer. British Embassy confirms Savage still banned. Democrats baffled by Obama's health care stance. Shall I go on? There's a little bit more. American junior high students are going to Japan to apologize, seeking forgiveness for the U.S. atomic bombing. VA Tech gunman's mental records were found in the home of the university clinic's former director. He took them from the college and hid them. U.S. Muslim gave al-Qaeda New York City subway information. That's correct, a U.S. Muslim. A U.S. Muslim gave al-Qaeda New York City subway information, arrested in November as he was trying to kill our troops. What else is on michaelsavage.com? Obama's sinking approval is even worse than it looks. A PETA video shows Ringling handlers beating elephants. But most important to me, because if I am not for me, who will be, is that Savage stands alone. The leftist media has been all over the case of Henry Louis Jr., Gates Jr., a black college professor at Harvard, who was suspected of breaking into a house in Cambridge. He was going through a window. Neighbor called and said a man is going through the window of a house. Now, although it has turned out that Professor Gates was just trying to get into his own house, he locked himself out, and he mouthed off at the policeman who asked for his ID and said, "I'll get your mama," or something like that. The neo-Marxist media has blown this out of proportion and made this case of Gates Jr. into the biggest thing since slavery. Cries of racism are now echoing across the media landscape. And yet here, Michael Savage, a white radio broadcaster, is banned by an entire Western nation, discriminated against by an entire nation. There is no one in the midstream media who's standing up and defending me. Why do they defend Gates and not Savage? Why? Why is that? It should affect them. And as I said to you in the last hour, my attorneys in England have discovered through the Freedom of Information Act some information that will be, I think, of worldwide importance. I cannot disclose it right now. I was going to, but I cannot do so. The documents have been released. There's over 40 pages of them. My lawyers and I went through them, and I can't tell you much about it other than this. I believe we have evidence that there are other U.S. broadcasters who have been excluded from the United Kingdom, but they were not named. And we're going to try to find out who they are. This is news, my friends. This is news, my friends. The very same people who have been attacking me may, in fact, be on the list with me. How would that turn out to be? How would that turn out to be? Are Men Obsolete is an article on michaelsavage.com from the American Thinker written by Robin of Berkeley. Are men obsolete? She writes. When I snapped out of my left-wing trance last year, she said I was lost in space. I had no conservative friends and was clueless about websites and books, she writes. Oh, I heard something about talk radio. So I scanned my AM dial and found Michael Savage. It took several months in a chat with a rather bemused new friend before I even realized there were other hosts as well. She thought only PBS existed. Here's what she writes, though. Being a lifelong liberal, I'd never heard anybody like Savage in my life. He yelled. He called people vermin. He was unbridled masculinity, not the touchy-feely kind I was used to. And he totally accepted himself, his moods, passion, temper. But what shocked me the most was his saying that men have become feminized. I've never been so offended. Well, what's wrong with men being more feminine? I shouted back at my radio. Is there something wrong with femininity? Men being way more in touch with their yin and less with their yang? Sounded good to me. I hadn't exactly been a big fan of masculinity. Like any good feminist, she writes, ranting and raving about men were two of my favorite pastimes. Men frighten me. Testosterone-fueled types like Michael Savage scared the bejesus out of me. I had good reasons, of course, given episodes of harassment and abuse. She said I couldn't tune Savage out, though, because he was the only game in town. Also, he was spot on about Obama, and his show was a rich tapestry of politics, philosophy, history, and religion, so I stayed glued. What a difference a year makes. Now I see Savage as a seer warning us of the dangers we were in for men if men went the way of the dinosaur. I had thought taming men's animal nature was a win-win for everybody. Now I realize it was tampering with Mother Nature. And I have to wonder whether the feminization of men has been an unforeseen result of liberalism or some twisted scheme hatched by the left. In some ways, it feels paranoid to even go there, like I've watched too many sci-fi flicks. But at the same time, if Professor Bill Ayers and his ilk could plot infiltrating the schools with all things Marxist, why stop there? Why not engineer a designer man who would go along with the liberal flow? Step one, loosen men up through psychotherapy where they can get in touch with their inner child. Have them exchange their arms for drums. Then they can pound in the woods with groups of brothers. Teach them to reject logic and lead with their emotions. Idolize gayness, because after all, aren't gay men just XY versions of the superior women?